Hi, welcome to 6th grade math. This is lesson 159. It's Friday, and so it's a glorious day outside. At least it is on Wednesday when I'm recording this, so hopefully Friday is still very nice. But we are going to be looking at simple interest. So that will be our what we're going to be looking at today. But first of all, we're going to go ahead and review some. And I am going to do a rapid calculation drill. We're going to go over some of our formulas. And then I'll let you pause and take your speed drill. You have 4 minutes for the speed drill today. Then we come back and we'll get a little bit more review, jump into simple interest, okay? So, all right, so right now we'll start with this one. 25 divided by 5 plus 5 divided by 2 times 7 plus 6 equals. Did you get 41? You should have gotten 41. We'll do one more. 10 minus 2 times 2 divided by 8 times 10 plus 5 equals. Should have gotten 25. Good job. All right. Okay. Doing these, perimeter of a rectangle is what? A P equals 2 times L plus 2 times W. Sorry about that. What about area of a circle? A equals pi r squared. Perimeter of a parallelogram? P equals 2 times B plus 2 times H, or 2 times L plus 2 times W will work as well. Circumference of a circle using diameter? C equals pi times D. What about the area of a triangle? A equals 1/2 times B times H, base times height. Okay? Circumference of a circle using radius? C equals 2 times pi times R. All right, Fahrenheit to Celsius. Fahrenheit to Celsius. So you do C equals 5/9 times F minus 32. There's your formula, okay? Perimeter of a triangle. P equals A plus B plus C. Area of a parallelogram. A equals B times H, or base times height. What about Celsius to Fahrenheit? Okay, F equals 9/5 C plus 32. 9/5 times C plus 32, all right. Perimeter of a square. P equals 4 times sine. What about area of a square? A equals S squared. Area of a rectangle? A equals length times width, or L times W. All right, and this is, let's see. Yep, this is our new one, simple interest, okay? So I'm gonna show it to you. I equals PRT, okay? That's interest equals principal times rate times time, okay? So we're gonna be looking at that. I'm gonna let you pause and go ahead and take your speed drill, and when you come back, I have some oral story problems we're gonna do, and then we'll look at the page, okay? All right, I hope you did well on that speed drill. You did your best. We are gonna do a couple of oral story problems. So what I want you to do is to get out a scratch sheet of paper. It doesn't have to be a full piece. It could be a note card or something. Just get out a scratch piece of paper and be listening, okay? All right, so I'm gonna read the story problem 2 times, okay? And then we'll see how to answer it. I'll give you the answer, all right? Nelson had a balance of $98.50 in his account until he wrote a check for $42. What is his balance now? Nelson had a balance of $98.50 in his account until he wrote a check for $42. What is his balance now? Okay, so what are we looking to do? We have a balance in his bank account and a check that he wrote. So if you write a check, what does that mean? Do we add or subtract from our total? Subtract, okay? So you may have already set this up, $98.50 minus $42. What did you get for your answer? Okay, did you get $56.50? That would be correct, okay? That is his new balance, okay? All right, number 2, Mrs. Bryant made 4 electronic withdrawals of $20 each on July 5th. How much did she withdraw? Okay, Mrs. Bryant made 4 electronic withdrawals of $20 each on July 5th. How much did she withdraw? Okay, so we would look at this, we see that she's withdrawing $20, but 4 different times, right? So what do we do? Multiply 20 times 4, and what did you get? $80, all right, very good, okay? Hope you were getting these. All right, number 3, this is the last one. Mr. Fry had a $500 paycheck. He put 80% of the check in his checking account and 20% in his savings account. How much did he put in his savings account? Mr. Fry had a $500 paycheck. He put 80% of the check in his checking account and 20% in his savings account. How much did he put in his savings account? All right. How are we going to figure out this one? We want to know what? What's the question? How much he put in the savings account, right? Okay, so he had $500. 80% went in his checking and 20% in his savings. So what do we need to do with the percent? Do we need to worry about the 80% that went in his checking? No, because we're only looking for savings. So 20% times 500. So you're going to set that up. 500 times 0.20. You wouldn't need the extra 0 if you don't want to, but you can have it there, okay? So multiply. What do you get? Did you get $100? That would be correct, okay? So you should always check those. If it says 20% and you get a number that's bigger than 500, then you did something wrong. Most likely you did something wrong with decimals, okay, on these types of questions, okay? All right, so $100 would be how much you put in a savings account. Very good. All right, so now we're going to move on to simple interest on our page. So let me move this. All right, so at the top of your page, simple interest is founding by using the following formula. I equals PRT. I stands for interest, okay? It's the fee charged for using money. P is principal. That's the money borrowed or loaned. Rate of interest is the percent of the principal that is charged on a loan or paid to a depositor. And T is time, period of loan in years, okay? So we do all of our interest is done in years. So if it's part of a year, we do that differently. So we'll be looking at that. I've got one on the board, and you'll have some on your page. All right, so the money that's borrowed is called the principal. The percent of the money that is charged is for the use of principal is the interest. To find the amount of the interest, the rate of interest must be known. So you have to know the rate of interest in order to find out the amount of the interest. So if the I stands for interest that is charged, the P is for principal, the rate the amount that is borrowed. R is for the rate of interest, is the rate is a percent. When we substitute into a formula, we write the rate as a decimal, okay? That's one of the reasons that we learned making a percent a decimal is to use it in the simple interest. There was other reasons, but this is one of the reasons that we learned that. The T is for the time of the loan. If the rate is an annual rate, the time must be expressed as years. If the loan is for only half of the year, we write 1/2 or 0.5 in the formula, okay? So that's how we do that. So when we write a simple interest formula, okay, on your page I'm gonna change this to be the one in the example, just in case you can't read all of this, you can follow along on the example on the top. Sam Autry borrowed $2,000 for 1 year at an interest rate of 12%, okay? At the end of the year, how much will Mr. Autry have to repay, okay? So he borrowed this much money, and the rate of interest is 12%, which means that he's gonna have to pay back $2,000 plus the interest, okay? That's why we do this, okay? So we're gonna have $2,000, and we're gonna multiply, and we've got a percentage of 12%. All right, what is the decimal that we would make from this? How do we turn 12% into a decimal? You move the decimal from here where it's sitting, right behind the 2, to in front of the 1, 2 spots, okay? So 0.12 is our decimal, okay? 0.12. Now we can multiply, okay? 2 times 0, 0, 2 times 0, 0, 0, and then 2 times 2 is 4. So we do that, we can't forget we have a 1 over here, so we've got to put a 0 there as our placeholder. 1 times 0, 1 times 0, 1 times 0, and then 2, okay? We add this and we got 0, 0, 0, 4, and 2. Now, how many decimal places did we have to begin with? Just 2, right? So we're gonna start over here, we're gonna go 2 places, knock off 2 of these zeros, and our rate, we had it for 1 year, so we would multiply this by 1, but when we multiply it by 1, what do we get? The same number. So anytime that it's 1, you don't have to worry about multiplying that. And it's $240, okay? One thing that I did forget to do at the beginning of this is to write out our formula, okay? Interest equals principal at 2,000 times rate 12%, and we can go ahead and make that a decimal, times 1. 240 times 12%, 0.12, or 2,000 times 0.12 gets us $240, and times 1 would be the same. So the interest for Mr. Autry, Sam Autry, is $240. So if we were to add that to 2,000, how much would he pay? Okay. When we add that, he would pay back $2,240 on that loan, okay? All right, so that's that is how to do this. So you're on your page, you do have that. I equals 2,000 times 0.12 times 1, and I equals 240, and then 2,000 plus 240 gets you 2,240, okay? The second one that I have on the board, and if you wanted to write this on your scratch piece of paper so you can follow along, it's $4,850 at 13% rate of interest for 1/2 years, okay? So we gotta put our formula, I equals P times R times T. So what's our principal? What was the number the beginning, if you wrote it down, so 4,850 times, what is our rate? 13%, so turn that into a decimal. 0.13. Sometimes you'll have like 7.5%, 7.75%. You're gonna have to make the fraction a decimal first, and then so like if it were 7 3/4, like what we had to begin with, we would do 7.75, and it's still a percent right there. And then you would move your decimal 2 places, and it would be what we would multiply is 0.0775. Okay, so this is especially important that you move your decimal from where it's supposed to be. So if there's a fraction, the decimal sits in front of the fraction. Okay, so keep that in mind for that. Okay. All right, so now, and we had 1/2 of a year. So we're gonna have 1/2, or we could put 0.5 in here. I think I'm gonna put 0.5 in here for this one. So over here, because we're gonna have I equals, we need 4,850 times 0.13. So we start with one of them. Of course, we can't multiply both at once, right? So we've gotta multiply one at a time. 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 8 is 24, plus 1 is 25, carry a 2, 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. Okay, put our 0 down there, we've got 1 times everything, so 0, 5, 8, and 4. 0, 5, 10, carry the 1, 13, carry the 1, and it's a 6. We had 2 decimal places to begin with, right? So we have $630, 0.5, or 0.50, so 630 and 50 cents. So we're gonna take $630 and 50 cents, and we're gonna multiply that by 0.5. Okay, so this will be our last step. So you can, when you're doing this, then you have 630.50 times 0.5, and then we're going to have our interest on the last line that you couldn't see. Okay, or that you may, yeah, you couldn't see. So 5 times 0 is 5, 5 times 5 is 25. Carry a 2, 5 times 0, 0 plus 2 is 2. 5 times 3 is 15, carry the 1. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 1 is 31, okay? We had 3 decimal places, remember, because we have the point with our 0.5, and then 2 with 630.50, $630.50. We have 2 decimal places. So we got 3, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3. We can knock off that last 0, and it's $315.25. Okay, so that is the interest for this, because it was for half of a year and not a whole year. If it had been a whole year, it would be $630.50, but because it's half of a year, we take that in half, which is what we did. We multiplied by 0.5 to get the half. All right. Now you can multiply these in any order. You don't have to multiply, because there's 3 multiplication. You can multiply them in any order. So if you wanted to multiply 0.13 times 0.5, you could do that, or you could multiply 0.5 times 4,850, and get half of this, which would be 2,425. So you can multiply it in any order as long as you make sure that you multiply each of them by the end of your equation. All right, number one, I'm gonna walk you through this one. Circle the principal, underline the rate of interest, and box the interest paid. Okay, so I'm gonna read this for you. Mr. Cox deposited $978.50. The bank pays its depositors, so who puts money in there, 5.75% interest yearly. At the end of the year, he withdrew $978.50 plus $56.26, okay? So what they want you to do is circle the principal, okay? So what is the principal? What did we say? The very top it says, the principal is money borrowed or loaned, and in this case, he's loaning his money to the bank to gain interest is what he's doing, okay? So what is the amount that he loaned? $978.50, okay, so circle that. Is it in the sentence or in this more than once? Yes, so circle both of them, okay? All right, so then underline the rate of interest. So what's the rate of interest? What was the rate it said? Rate of interest is percent of the principal that is charged on a loan or paid to a depositor. So what is the percentage there? 5.75%, okay? So you can underline that. And then it says to put the box around the interest paid. So did they tell you how much interest he got from his money? The very end, $56.26. So you're gonna put a box around that. That is all you're doing on this. You're just circling the two, $975.50, putting a box around $56.26, and underlining 5.75%. This is just to help you find them in your story problems, okay? So you could do that in story problems A and B to help. In fact, I want you to do that. I want you to do that in story problems A and B to help you find the parts of this, okay? And I want you to make sure that you're using the formula I equals P times R times T, okay? All right, so I'm gonna have you do, I did the first one with you. You're gonna do both of the story problems, and for the simple interest, I am gonna have you, you don't have to do the green ones, C or F, okay? For section 4 on the back, you can pick one of the two to do. And just to make it easier on yourself, if you have multiple checks or multiple deposits, add them up first before you subtract or add from the total. So you only do the subtraction or adding from the total once instead of doing it multiple times. All right, and then in the review, section 5, I want you to pick 2 from the first row and 2 from the second row. Section 6, pick 1 and make sure that you check by casting out 9s, and if you need a refresher on that, then you can, let me see. Okay, sorry, if you need a refresher on casting out 9s, you can have your parents message me and I can explain it if you need that. If you don't, then great. You just want to make sure that you're coming out with the same answer on both. And then for section 7, true and false, just go ahead and do all of those, okay? All right, and there isn't any homework for this lesson, so just do that page, do your best, and if you have questions, please let someone know, and we will see you in the next lesson.